They don't call Lake Argyle the jewel of the Kimberley for nothing. Sitting right at the eastern end of the Gib River Road, just south of Kununurra, a little bit out the way if you're going down the Gib, but it's definitely worth a stop. This place, with all that water, obviously boating, fishing are on the cards, but the resort here is a really great spot. They've got one of the best caravan parks in the country. For me though, Lake Argyle is all about coming out here to relax, take some amazing photographs. As the sun goes down, that water glasses off like nowhere else on the planet, and it's just a stunning mirror of all the old mountaintops here. So much history here, geological and human. But really, come here, bring a glass of wine, watch the sun go down, and enjoy one of the best sunsets of your life.
Nothing in the Kimberley is ever less than dramatic. The eastern end of this landscape is demarcated by the Carboyd Range, a billion-year-old blood-red chain of mountains rich in minerals. This is the home of some of the most productive diamond mines in the world. Hidden beauty is like a vein that runs deep throughout the Kimberley. All too often, the sunburned ochre ridges and endless boab-dotted plains give way to cool, shady gorges and spectacular waterfalls, these secret gardens we flow between. The road out to Lake Argyle is paved all the way, so it's a pretty relaxing 40-minute drive through spinifex and wan gum trees in the D-Max. A parched prelude that belies the shimmering, waxy mirror of the lake ahead. The lake itself spans almost 1,000 square kilometers, holding around 100 million cubic meters of water. Charlie Sharp grew up here and has built the Lake Argyle Resort into a home away from home for adventurers.
Charlie, this is some backyard you've got here.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky, mate. It's our little patch of paradise.
So you grew up here?
Yeah, for me it's always been home. I've known nothing but this. I did spend some time overseas for 10 years in Europe and America, but I always thought of this place. If it was anywhere else in the world, it'd be crowded in. There'd be millions of people here.
Yep.
But here in the Kimberley, it's just a little speck of spectacular landscape. So
it's pretty amazing. So you've grown up here. I guess the lake's always been here for you, but there's a lot of history here too. That people love to watch how they built the dams and the hydro scheme and everything else.
Yeah, it goes further back than that. No, you look at the Duracs, who first came up here, and a bit like ourselves, they were trudging through here in the late 1800s.
You look back at the Duracs as well, and Mary was, I think people love her because it was such a harsh, unforgiving landscape, but she obviously still fell in love with the place.
Yeah, she's brought up in it like I was. No, her family worked very, very hard. It was very unforgiving. You were a long way from anywhere. Everything's hard, and you know, in this modern day it hasn't changed. It's still hard. Just to build something here is certainly challenging, but the landscape's unforgiving. All we're trying to do is tame it in little tiny patches, you know, and give people a chance to have the comforts of the infinity pool looking out across this amazing lake, which is also man-made, of course, but just really enhanced that amazing landscape.
There's a lot of stuff to do here. There's chopper flights, boat tours, and everything else, but also people can be fairly self-sufficient. Yeah,
and growing up here as a kid, my schoolroom was just behind us here, and this is the view out your school window, so it was hard to concentrate. Mum homeschooled us, but one thing I learned travelling around the world is it's not always about commercial tourism. No, it's not just about doing boat tours and flights and helicopters and that sort of stuff. But what we try to do with the resort and caravan park here is create a place where you can spend a week here and not do a single tour or paid activity. There's lots of bushwalks, there's fishing in the lake, there's fishing in the river, there's barramundi, there's diving, there's swimming. There's some amazing adventures, four-wheel drive adventures. There's so much you can do, spend a couple of days in the pool. We're trying to create a place where you can come and just waste away time and do anything you like. It's not over-commercialised, it's just comfortable. You've got some luxury facilities and have that infinity pool and a restaurant next door, a bit of entertainment, all that sort of stuff.
The sunsets are always free, and I don't think I've seen better sunsets anywhere in the country.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky with that. We say to people when they come, there's three places to do sunset. One, you've got to do one on the lake if you get a chance. One by the pool, because up here is just stunning at sunset, and another one out on one of the ranges, Panican Lookout or somewhere else. You've just got to do those three sunsets, and even if you do the three in the same spot, every day is different. And that's every single day for the last 45 years. I've never seen two sunsets the same, so you're guaranteed of a new emotion or experience every day you see sunset.
As a photographer, Lake Argyle has always fascinated me. The way the light here changes constantly. The sun wrapping around the gold and crimson at the tops of the mountains that jut out like a vast archipelago of color. The way the water mutes and reflects everything. And what better way to really get a feel for this shifting landscape than to dive right into it. There are several cruises that run out of the resort, a lunchtime cruise with drinks and swimming, and an evening cruise where you literally become one with the perfect sunset. We jumped on the day cruise to learn a bit more history about the region and get a handle on the wildlife that call this place home.
About the only thing more clean and pure than a nice lager in the Australian outback is going for a swim in Lake Argyle here. Now they call this place the jewel of the Kimberley, and it's easy to see why. We've come out in the Kimberley Direct today for their lunchtime tour, and it's pretty awesome and informative. Learned a lot about the wildlife in the region here, the history of the dam, and some of the people that used to call this place home. But really, look around you, it's absolutely stunning here. It's an awesome way to find out a little bit more about the area, but also have a nice swim in this water, which is effectively Kununurra's drinking water. They say if you're thirsty here, you just dip your head in, take a drink. How good's that?
The two main denizens of this impeccable water are the freshwater crocodiles, there are over 35,000 of them, and the shovel-nosed catfish, affectionately renamed silver cobbler. The catfish aren't much of a sporting species, but they eat all right. The geology of this place is really interesting. Like the Pilbara to the south, you can see exposed evidence here of unimaginable forces bending solid rock into twisted shapes. In any light, the lake is a constantly shifting palette, a horizon that spins around you like being in the open ocean. There are places within the lake where there is nothing but sky and water in any direction. You can lose yourself out here. I'm always frustrated trying to capture the grandeur, the sheer scale of the landscape through the lens. But that is one of the things that keeps drawing me back here. There aren't many off-road tracks around this part of the country, but if you head back north toward Kununurra a few kilometers, there are a few sandy tracks that cut off east. One of these runs along the edge of a series of ridges before winding up a sandy set of switchbacks, climbing the back of one of these small mountains. Soon, the lake breaks the horizon, and you're looking at a view that most visitors here will miss. To me, driving the D-Max as far across the country as you can to get to a place of indescribable beauty is as much about being alone as it is being surrounded by color.
Out here at Lake Argyle, $1 million views, pretty much a dime a dozen. But I've come up the road from the resort here, up a pretty rough little four-wheel drive track to a spot called Panikin Lookout. Looks out over Panikin Bay here in the lake, and I gotta say, this blows just about every other angle out of the water. Pretty cool spot here too. You're sort of right at the edge of the Spinifex Desert, and you've got that beautiful dichotomy of the reds and the blues there, fresh water right next to the desert. This really is like the outback in microcosm. But what a view, eh? What a great spot to come and just watch the sun go down over this beautiful lake.
I wish I could just sit still sometimes, drink a couple of beers, and melt into the horizon. But being here, watching the sun lower into a diaphanous red haze, painting the landscape in adulterated hues, colors I don't know the names of, it is hard to not want to try to capture everything. As another day begins to wane, these ancient massifs don't notice. My entire life is a grain of sand to these great sanguine sphinxes, as indecipherable to them as they are to me. No man is an island, entire of itself. This is true. But men have always been drawn to islands. Their shores are living metaphors for the edges of our consciousness. The water around them, the unbridgeable distance between men. Give me a boat and time though, and I'll find myself an island to call my own.
Lake Argyle is a pretty big, pretty epic lake, and I wanted to see another side of it. So Charlie's lent me this massive little tinny here, and I'm on my way out to a place called Pumpkin Point to catch up with Josh. He's one of the tour guides based at Lake Argyle here. On the way out though, kind of had to stop here at a place they call the Heads of the Lake. Now this is actually part of the course of the original Ord River, and it's actually cut a pretty deep chasm here, so it's one of the deepest parts of the lake here, running about 40 meters deep. And right here behind me is a little rock they call jump rock. You basically crawl in at the bottom, walk your way up as high as you want to go. It goes up to about 8 or 9 meters here, and sort of test your mettle against Mother Nature and see how high you feel like jumping from. So I'm gonna go do that now and see what kind of man I am.
The human body reacts strangely to the sensation of falling. There is a visceral fear that is inescapable, a sense of impending doom that is only sated when you plunge through the surface of the water. That split second of exhilaration, a mixture of fear and happiness, is like a drug. It pushes you to climb up the rock again, to jump from higher and higher. On days like this, the lake becomes a placid mirror for the sky, reflecting every ridgeline in perfect symmetry. Skating across its surface, trailed by the long, slow arcs of birds, not a sound in the air except the whine of the outboard and the rush of the wind. A tangible peace descends. Out here, you are far from the madding crowds, far from just about every care in the world. I'm heading about 30 kilometers north of the resort, to a thin island with enough sand to land the boat and throw a swag out.
It's a euphoric experience sailing through these ancient mountaintops on Lake Argyle here in a little tinny. I mean, when you look around, you're looking at old mountaintops here and they're absolutely stunning in the afternoon light. The reds are just coming out. I've never seen a landscape that I think is so alive. Every little change in sunlight, every little shift in light, and the way it shimmers off the lake's surface. This landscape is completely alive. It changes every minute of the day. And it's just a humbling experience to be out here in some of the more remote areas of the lake. Just seeing this light change, hearing the absolute serenity on the still, calm water. And as the evening rolls in, it flattens out and the lake just becomes one big mirror.
With the sun getting pretty low, I made my way just past the island camp to sit in the stillness and wait to see what kind of light show I'd get. It actually feels, when the water is glassed off and the sun is lighting the mountains on fire, like I'm floating in midair, suspended above a sky as limitless and deep as the one above, my boat bisecting infinity. Pumpkin Point is one of the few places you can pull a boat up with enough flat land to have a fire and lay a swag out. I met Josh and his girlfriend there to share a few beers around the fire.
Josh, what an epic journey just to come out here to Pumpkin Point.
Absolutely.
What an epic spot.
That's right. What a day for it too.
It's got to be one of the most remote campsites in Australia.
I'd say so. Yeah. The Kimberley region itself occupies 425,000 square kilometres. So 1.7 United Kingdoms and 1.5 New Zealands, as I like to say, originally from New Zealand. And we've come a pretty fair way out on the water just to be here right now.
So what brings you to the Kimberley, Josh?
So I'm a tour guide. I run a business called Lake Argyle Adventures, and we focus on two different tours, a gourmet camp oven experience and then a morning tour called Beyond Argyle. Definitely a must-do for people if they're coming here to Lake Argyle.
I love going beyond as far as I can. Beyond the dirt roads, beyond the edge of where I can take the full drive even to somewhere like this.
Absolutely.
It's just so amazing being out here on that glass of the lake and to be this remote. It's really special.
Absolutely. And we get it all to ourselves. It's relatively untouched. I mean, how many other boats did you see out here today?
Yeah, exactly.
It's stunning, isn't it? And the sound of silence.
It's pretty humbling.
It is.
Josh is a guy that has clearly fallen pretty hard for the Kimberley. I know that feeling. We drank and sang and watched our Gidgee fire fade into the Argyle night. Back towards civilization, a world away, I pointed the D-Max toward Kununurra to catch up with the guys at Heli Spirit. They run a bunch of helicopter tours out of Lake Argyle and the airport here. Kununurra and its surrounds really are some of the last secret spots on the map in the Kimberley. There are rock formations north of town, every bit as epic as the Bunga Bungles, but still relatively off the grid. Scenic helicopter rides with the doors off fulfill two of my favorite things: photography, and, well, helicopter rides. The sense of freedom that comes the instant you lift off the ground, and the ability to see the world from a completely different perspective, combine into an ethereal experience that I think everyone should feel at least once, especially above a country as rich and varied as the East Kimberley.
Just taking off from Cunningham Airport to go see some of the sights around here. Now this is the East Kimberley proper, and it's part of the country that I haven't spent enough time in yet. Some absolutely amazing places to see out here, and seeing it all by the air is a great way to sort of plan your time, because there's so many tracks, waterfalls, and beautiful swimming holes and fishing spots here that it's kind of hard to make up your mind. Coming up here and seeing it all from the air first, it's a great way to sort of plan out your itinerary. This is Elephant Rock just in front of us here, and it's a pretty awesome spot to come and take a picture. But we've just gone past a beautiful waterfall just outside of town as well. Some pretty awesome stuff here. There's wetlands, there's the dam, there's Lake Cunningham, which is stocked with barramundi. There's literally something for everybody here, and this is the best way, I think, to come out and actually plan your time on the eastern end of the Gibb River Road.
From the bucolic fringes of town, we made our way southwest about 40 kilometers to Packsaddle Springs, a waterfall and gorge cut out of the Spinifex Plain with a hidden swimming hole that's barely on the map. Just north of town is another lesser-known park called Miramar, home to Hidden Valley, or colloquially, the Little Bongo Bongles. We made our way back to town, and the mud map of the Kimberley in my brain had a few new places circled for my next trip here. You can never step into the same river twice, and the Kimberley runs like water through your memory. Every trip here is as unique as rainfall, as ephemeral as waterfall mist.
Chasing the dragon. That experience when you first catch a wave, drive a full drive on the beach, or see a sunset over a landscape like the Kimberley, it's indelibly marked into your psyche for the rest of your life. It's one of those things that defines you, and you're always trying to chase those moments again. And that's why they call it chasing the dragon. When you chase the dragon, you never catch the dragon. But it's that chase, that's what keeps us alive. That's what keeps us out here learning every day that along that road, chasing that dragon, we're making a million new experiences into the unknown, and we're scaring ourselves a little bit day by day. And I think that's what's important, is to go beyond your comfort zone, to scare yourself a little bit, because that's where new things happen. And that's where you get that experience, because in that unknown is that little tinge of fear. And I think ultimately, that's what we're hunting out here. That's the dragon, that fear that only resides somewhere we've never been before.
Being out here in the middle of Lake Argyle it's a pretty, I need a word, hold on. Oh, what's the word he was looking for?